What's going on, everybody? So my name is Rogue Hero. You guys already know I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for 20 plus years, and in my 20 plus years of playing this game, it is still insanely popular. Now, if you guys are new to card games, or might not be new, or if you guys are veterans like myself, you guys may already know the number one card game in the world is Magic the Gathering. Nowadays, we got things like that's really popular, like One Piece. And obviously, we all know the Pokemon craze. People are literally throwing hands and scrapping in parking lots over Pokemon cards, mainly for the secondary market. For you guys that do not know what the secondary market term means, secondary market is people who just buy, sell, and trade. In the Pokemon community, you guys deal with a lot of street vendors and scalpers who make that game a little toxic. But for you competitive players out there, this don't apply to you that much from what I was told from people who play Pokemon. And I want to do this video because there's not really too much videos online talking about why we still all play this card game of Yu-Gi-Oh 20 plus years later. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on why that is right now. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe for more. Now, the number one reason why people still like playing Yu-Gi-Oh 20 years into the game, a little bit longer than 20 years, if you look in Japan, is the insane power creep. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh gets a lot of flack for having power creep. There's always players saying pendulums killed the game, synchros killed the game, links killed the game even. But one thing people don't think about is if we were all still playing GOAT format and the game didn't change conceptually from '05 to now, the game would be dead. 100% the game would be dead. Prime example, Battle Spirits. Battle Spirits, even though it came right back out nowadays, it's not that popular. I know some niche suburban areas probably still play, but I think on the grand scheme of things, it's technically a failure for Bandai twice. Pretty popular in Japan. Battle Spirits originally came out around 2011, 2012, right around the time I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And the game was really banking on money tournaments and awesome gameplay to allow players to get into it. Battle Spirits, I believe their big regionals paid you like $500. Their YCS level events paid you more. And on top of that, the game was firmly balanced. But the reason why it died is because a lot of players said decks from set 1 could still compete with decks from set 5, which means two things. One, the game's going to get stale. But two, there's really no incentive for people to still invest into the game in order to keep up with the metagame because they can still play with their decks from set 1, which inevitably leads to game dying. Now transfer this back to Yu-Gi-Oh! We still had Tribute One Monster, Attack, running the Mirror Force. In 2025, and that was still a relevant gameplay style. Why will we buy new cards? Yeah, there will be people who will pick up new stuff and new underpowered archetypes to play the same boring game of Go format. However, with that being said, I'd argue people will get bored of that. Not only will they get bored of it, they will be begging for change. With games like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, they change all the time. Magic is the originator. It's been out since the 90s, early 90s that is, and the game has changed so much it's spawned into multiple different formats. Now in Yu-Gi-Oh, we're starting to catch up with the spawning of different formats, with people preferring Edison, Go format, and now the redo format. So I think power creep is definitely a necessary evil to keep the game going because it keeps things fresh, and while keeping things fresh, it allows the game to still flourish. What people don't realize is when we buy and constantly invest into the game, we get more emotionally attached to the game from a psychological standpoint. It's kind of like when you're dating somebody, right? And the main reason why you're still attached to that person you're dating is because you're investing money into that person and time into that person and seeing that person. So when you transfer that into card games, we're investing with our money by buying new product, we're investing with our time by going to tournaments, and we're investing our energy by getting frustrated whether we win, lose, or draw. Similar to dating, it's similar to real life. It kind of gets you that emotions up out of you, which keeps people hooked and addicted to the said card game. Now, another thing I want to talk about on why Yu-Gi-Oh is still insanely popular after all these years. Lightning in a jar, man. Yu-Gi-Oh was lightning in a jar from the early 2000s when it got released in North America. From the 90s in Japan, it was just gas. Kazuka Takahashi, love him or hate him for not having cash prizing in Yu-Gi-Oh, in real life. He created a banger of an series because when Yu-Gi-Oh first started out in the 90s, It was originally just a game about a guy who played games, who was really good at games. And they had one arc that was a spinoff, or yeah, pretty much a spinoff and or a parody of Magic the Gathering in the manga. And that was so popular because card games was still a niche thing. And they were extremely popular in the 90s that by the time people read that stuff and they realized it's something you can kind of do in real life that's realistic, and with the Pokemon craze as well, it was common. It's not a surprise, rather, that Yu-Gi-Oh got insanely popular and spawned into a TV series, video game series, and a competitive card game because Pokemon was insanely popular in the 90s. All 90s kids, most of you guys are probably 90s kids. You guys remember the Pokemon craze and how it took over the world. Yu-Gi-Oh coming out right after that, being more of a grungier Pokemon as a game and actually having a different set of rules that was pretty easy to get into at the time. Once again, lightning in a jar, things like that only come around once every so often, and that pretty much spanned into everything we have now. It's one of those things too where something comes out at a specific point in time and it's one of the originators because believe it or not, Yu-Gi-Oh, in my opinion, is a lot of you guys North America, myself included, first interaction with card games. Now, as a kid, I did grow up knowing about Magic the Gathering. I didn't go to locals for it, but I do remember seeing Magic the Gathering TV advertisements all the time. But I didn't really care for it too much. I'm like, okay, it sounds like Dungeons and Dragons. But Yu-Gi-Oh, on the other hand, being part of an anime and had a story arc, it was one of its kind. Not too many things were doing that back in the day. Yeah, we had Pokemon anime, but Pokemon didn't really have an anime based on the card game. Yu-Gi-Oh is. So since Yu-Gi-Oh was the first, it pretty much brings a big nostalgia factor into why people still play. And even though I didn't want to just talk about nostalgia in this video, that's a real thing on why Yu-Gi-Oh is as popular as it is now because it's lightning in a jar. It's the first of its kind. And usually when you're the first of something, you typically stand the test of time if you do everything correctly afterwards, which they have done. Now, outside of lightning in a jar, Yu-Gi-Oh's competitive scene is extremely strong. Starting from the early 2000s, back when I was a kid, we used to go to locals. It was advertised on TV, and we used to have a great time. Every local card shop did things differently, but I remember it being 12 years old, and local shops had anywhere from 15 to 30 players consistently down here in Chicago, Illinois. And I can only imagine it was the same way for a lot of you guys in different states. In addition to that, with under Upper Deck's tutelage, they ran things like the mall tours, which got people addicted to it. I remember reading news articles about Yu-Gi-Oh! I even remember people dealing with Christianity and calling Yu-Gi-Oh! The devil game, which spawned it to be a little more controversial, which also means teenage boys are going to like it more because it's controversial. Think about things like South Park, The Simpsons. I mean, the list can go on with adult entertainment. Anything that's a little more mature than what we were previously given in America back in that time, we were going to be naturally drawn to as guys. If you guys know, you know. So by having a strong competitive scene with grungier things and a lot of the advertisement for Yu-Gi-Oh, being consistently over the years like that, there's no surprise that the game is still around. Now, outside of the power creep, the strong competitive scene, and lightning in a jar, the game is actually fun despite the bad formats. Yu-Gi-Oh, in my opinion, gets a lot of flack for being a boring helmet card game. When in actuality, people who do care enough to be decently good at the game, we all enjoy the game fairly well. Now, I'm not trying to sit up here and say that we're the only ones that should have an opinion on how the game should be had fun, but I would argue it's because of the competitive scene. One of the reasons why the game is still popular, because the competitive scene spins to my next topic, which is the YouTube space. And because a lot of people who play competitively came into YouTube to talk about different things regarding Yu-Gi-Oh, myself included. This channel is about 13 years old. I am technically an OG Yu-Gi-Tuber at this time, but I was like a second wave Yu-Gi-Tuber. And when I got into the Yu-Gi-Tube game back in 2013, there was a lot of people doing competitive content, and the space was slowly going from casual to competitive. And nowadays, it's about mix. The casual is more popular. It's always been more popular, but the competitive aspect is the heart of the soul of the game. So since the competitive aspect is hard to sell the game, it's keeping people interested. Now, obviously, it's a strong IP, and people still like Yu-Gi-Oh, but those casuals still like Yu-Gi-Oh! They might download Master Duel once, they might play it every once in a while. That's the shit my friends and buddies do who barely play the game nowadays. I got a lot of people I know like that in my personal life, and like my nephews who play here and there. But the people who keeping the wheels motion is people like me, people like you guys who going to locals, who's buying packs. We're spreading the gospel because you guys won't be surprised with the amount of people I know who told me, hey man, I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! I found your channel. I didn't know this thing was still a thing. Thanks for getting me back into the game. And there's a tons of other YouTubers who are like that who pretty much got players back into the game because they found a YouTube channel who's talking about the competitive scene that they vaguely remember being advertised to them as kids. Now, as far as Yu-Gi-Oh! Being this insanely fun, the rulings ain't that bad once you get the hang of them. The competitiveness, I always get an adrenaline rush when I play. It's really fun. You do get to think. Now, obviously, we have toxic formats like Cash Tiras, Tournaments even, but even people enjoy Tournaments. People call this format horrible. I love this format. It's a reason why people still go to events in large numbers despite the small minority saying this format is bad. The format's not that bad. I don't think it's as doom and gloom as people say it is. I enjoy it. A lot of people enjoy it. A lot of people who complain about the format are still some of the same people who go to locals every week. They scrub out, but they still having a good time because they know they had a chance of winning against those meta decks. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about, honestly, bro, real talk, is other card games don't hit the same like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of them card games. It's so fast-paced. It's kind of like playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, if you know, you know. And other card games are like playing Street Fighter 1. And I don't mind Street Fighter 1. I'm probably better at Street Fighter 1 than I am in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But I will say Marvel vs. Capcom 2, as a kid, man, that game was freaking fun. Button mashing, doing different combos, things like that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so fast-paced. Other card games just don't feel that way. Like, I've played Pokemon. It's a little more slower, it's a little more fair, but it doesn't hit the same. I've played Magic the Gathering briefly in my teenage years and my early 20s, just tampering around with it because my buddy showed me how to play. Same thing. It's a little slow, it's a little boring, can do some speedy things, but for the most part, it just was like, you gotta take too long to do things. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the first iteration of play this, do this, do something about it. Do you have a reaction? No. It goes back to being a captured lightning in a jar. It's one of the first of its kind of being like a speedier card game. Nowadays, we got other card games that are speedier. I heard Digimon is pretty fast. I've heard Dragon Ball Z card games could be pretty quick, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the first, and a lot of other card games have sped their formats up, in my opinion, because of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, with all that being said, man, these are the reasons why I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Has lasted the test of time and will continue to last the test of time despite the hate it gets. Let me know why you guys think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is insanely popular in the comment section down below. And once again, if you guys are new here, this is Rogue Hero. I do videos damn near every single day. And if you guys are currently playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, you like to buy products, make sure you hit my description and the link down below. I have my channel sponsors, tradingcardmint.com. They're local here in Illinois. You guys save 7% off on all your sales. Also as well, man, make sure to become a channel member. I'm going to be dropping a Rizel spreadsheet for my channel members, exclusively for my channel members. I'm still going to be doing combo videos after that as well. I don't know how many combos I'm going to be dropping in this spreadsheet, but it's going to be on the channel members as part of a community tab post as well. You're going to get that in addition to getting all my other channel member perks, but I just haven't thought about what they're going to be at. But spreadsheets is one of the things I'm going to do, starting as low as $1.99 per month. So guys, check that out if you guys are interested. It's your boy Rogue here, and I'm signing out. Peace. See you guys in the next video.